CIO News. I'm Madhuri, Pednekar, your host for the broadcast and a conference producer at CIO News. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website cionews.co.in and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. This is an exclusive fireside chat powered by Avaya on transformation through customer experience. Businesses are built by the experience they provide, and every day millions of those experiences are delivered by Avaya. Avaya is shaping what's next for the future of work with innovation partnership that delivers game-changing business benefits. Let's dive in and let me introduce my guest for today. He's an articulate leader who creates an environment where everyone has a passion to excel, innovate, and an opportunity to contribute. Please welcome Mr. Aurobinda Nanda. He's a co-founder and deputy CEO, Product Engineering Service at Happiest Mind Technologies, a senior executive with an excellent track record in general management, technology strategy, engineering research, and development. He brings to any company a unique blend of energy and competency combined with management skills, to date field experience in both established dynamic companies and startups. His key areas being product development, technology management, program management, P&L management, pre-sales and business development, people management, recruitment, training, and staffing. He has achieved a profitable growth of 65% year on year and has built a team of 750 people in 5 years. It's a pleasure to have you with us, sir.
Thanks, Madhuri. Pleasure is all mine. Happy to be here.
Now with me today, we also have Mr. Bhavesh Vora. He's a sales engineering leader at Avaya India South and also our moderator for today's session. He's a dynamic and result-oriented professional with progressive leadership experience in enterprise telecom and IT industry with 20 plus years of working experience in various roles. He has exposure in providing solution and ensuring revenue growth, skilled in maintaining relationship with top-level executive and technology partners, developing go-to-market strategy to align pre-sale, product engineering, and customer requirements. He's very well versed in Avaya product and technology, including contact center, unified communication, and networking solution, VoIP, telephony, managed services, and cloud computing. Welcome, Bhavesh.
Yeah, thank you, Madhuri. Glad to be here. Okay, so I will start now. Okay, good evening, Mr. Nanda. Once again, a very interesting first name, Aurobindo. Uh,
Thanks,
so,
Bhavesh.
yeah, thank you. I mean, it really it's catchy. So, we have been doing these kind of discussions, but looking at Happiest Minds, one of a new IT services company. I think it has come a long way. A lot of awards you all have received. I was just checking the profile. So
Mhm.
before I start, the questions around the customer experience, the thing which is on the top of the mind of everybody is we are all going through this pandemic
Right.
and all employees are working from home. So I thought I'll start with this question first. In Happiest Minds, how are you all managing it? How employees are working from home? How do you measure productivity, take care of security? They must be using some collab tools. So you can just touch upon that. And if you want, you can also please give a brief about yourself and company if you want again. Yeah. Let's start the discussion with this point.
Sure. Thanks, Bhavesh. And happiest mind. We just completed 10 years. We celebrated a decade of existence on 29th of August. Um, so looking back, reflecting on it, it has been a great and nice journey in the last 10 years. Um, Quite a bit of stuff has been achieved. Literally created an organization from nothing, and today we have also taken it public, and it's been wonderful experience. I'll be happy to share some of those. What is interesting is actually we went public during the COVID time, right? Maybe we would be one of the first companies which went through that exercise during the entire lockdown. And as you would know, the way the SEBI rules and regulations are in terms of a company going public, the entire thing was done remotely. Trust me on that. Entire thing was done remotely. No one ever visited office. Neither, we everything was done digitally, so to say. Now, some of these exercise came through some of the experiences that we went through early enough in March. And because this was a necessary exercise, it also kind of strengthened some of our investments and various things that we did, which ultimately helped in the last 18 months of this entire lockdown. To be very honest, when the COVID work from home situation happened, like everyone else, we were also not sure how this is going to pan out. But one thing that has worked in our advantage is being a young company. We call ourselves born digital, born agile. We are actually digital because from day one, we had almost everything of our infrastructure on the cloud. People were also used to work from home because we had 1 day work from home policy, 1 day per week work from home policy. So from that perspective, we are kind of uh, somewhat sensitive to the challenges that would potentially come. But even saying so, you are never 100% ready to 1 day move lock, stock, barrel from office to home. So we did go through some of those problems. In essence, not everyone used to carry laptops, but at least 80% of our team used to carry laptops. Some of our infrastructures applications were not on the cloud. From a communication perspective, we had a mixed bag of tools which you use to communicate. Somewhere digital, somewhere on the cloud, somewhere homegrown, somewhere personal tools which people used to communicate. And mostly everyone relied on phone or email, and that was how it was. But looking back again at the whole story, today we have consolidated everything on Microsoft Office, and we heavily rely on Microsoft Teams as the apex tool around which our entire digital strategy revolves. We use it for almost anything and everything that we do within the organization, starting from one-on-one communications to team communications to entire the townhouse or all hand kind of communications. We leverage entirely on Teams. We use it for document management. We used to share documents and various other things. So overall, it has worked fine so far. Now coming to how the productivity has been and what we do with the employees, uh, we definitely recognize that there is a certain amount of security risk when people are going to work from home. Security around data, security around customer data, um, and also about data privacy and various other issues, mostly around cybersecurity kind of stuff. So what we did as part of that is we ensured that everyone connects to Happiest Minds systems through VPN. So that way, we are pretty much bringing in a lot of data privacy and protections and controls through that. Of course, we have various other mechanisms based on policies as to what you can do and what you cannot do. And all of this is done through the firewalls and VPN restrictions. And the basic stuff as to whether you cannot copy data, you cannot, bring in USB drives and do things. Those are the standard stuff which has already been implemented, and most of us already follow that. Uh, so because of this, what happened is we were able to convince our customers about our ability to be compliant to the data privacy and protection rules that is there also from their side. So that one part taken care of, and with VPN being there, we were pretty much secured with respect to that. Now coming to how we monitor, we essentially do not monitor how our employees work from home. Essentially, we believe and have a lot of trust on them. And the way we operate is we define work and believe that the work employees will be able to deliver them. So we provide or create an environment where they have the freedom to work their hours. We have something what is called the core hour. During the core hours, you are supposed to be online interacting with the team as and when necessary. But the flex hours are yours. You want to decide to work, whichever is your flex hour, you can take care of that. And as long as the work is delivered, we don't really monitor people's work. And happy to say that things have worked out fine. In fact, our customer happiness score shot the highest during the pandemic here. We do our customer satisfaction service during January timeframe, and it was one of the best that we have done in 10 years of our history. So productivity wise, things haven't been impacted that much. Things have been going on fine. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thank you. I think that interesting point you mentioned, that you having that one day a week work from home, and your organization was more or less aligned for this.
Right.
Yeah, it does put pressure on the IT team, but yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good to see. I mean, and as you said, I think employee satisfaction has been the highest. That speaks volumes. So I think that's good. So I think y'all have been able to manage the pandemic very well, unlike a lot of our other IT companies which I have been talking to,
Uh-huh.
specifically along the BPOs. That's good.
Right.
So let's change gears. I mean, going to the customer experience part. I understand. I think Happiest Minds, you probably all are taking up very large IT projects. You'll have certain interesting products. I was going through your website, around IoT and blockchain and a lot of things y'all are doing. So, but I mean, looking at the topic of today's agenda, how do
Mm-hmm.
you actually provide customer service? Whether it is your projects or to your, when you're doing a project for your customer. So, I mean, if there is a problem, or if you have to provide some kind of a help desk, is it
Mm-hmm.
voice or do you use digital technologies? Like within voice also, there are a lot of digital technologies available. How do you
Right.
provide customer experience or customer service to your customers? If you can start from there.
Okay. Typically, when we are, uh, let me clarify first of all the kind of work we do. Most of the work we do in terms of executing projects for our customers.
Mm.
And because of that, in certain cases, we might be interacting with the customers and customers also, right? So it will be mostly like a scenario. Our major primary business is it can be termed as B2B, right? It's a
Mm.
business providing service to another business. And because of that, we might be interacting to the end consumers. It might become a B2B2C kind of a situation. So for our direct customers, most of the interaction happens through the regular communication channels, be it environment like what we are using today right now,
Mm.
Avaya clouds or similar environment, competing environments that are there. Like I said before, we have kind of standardized on Microsoft, but then we are open to getting on board any of similar environments that our customers use. So that has been our primary mode of communication or engagement with our customers. But when it comes to engaging with the consumers of our customers, then it's multiple different ways that we do. There are like chatbots based services which we kind of have enabled for our customer, based on which we provide those kind of services. There are also sorry, excuse me, just 1 second, please.
No problem.
Besides the chatbots, I mean, typically whatever you use today, the environments, be it a SMS based service, be a WhatsApp or any similar kind of tool based services, all of that we leverage to provide our customers those kind of services. So that's kind of ensures that our customer services are not disrupted, and the end consumers are able to reach out through multiple different channels. So that is what we have been doing so far.
Yeah, so I understand. So you are saying very interesting. It is B2B. Probably you're doing a project for a large bank. You're
Right.
providing them a technology platform, a software
Mm-hmm.
application, customization, and that
Mm-hmm.
bank or an insurance company is catering to a lot of consumers.
Right.
So essentially, you're making a platform or an application for them which is catering to consumers.
Right.
So yeah, so just wanted to tweak that question again. So when you provide that kind of a solution, you will provide a lot of
Mm-hmm.
technology over there. When you
Right.
provide service to that customer,
Mm-hmm.
is the service component embedded in your core application, or that is something which is outsourced to some other company? How does it work? Because
No.
then the responsibility of service comes to your application.
Okay, so I will have to walk you through maybe a little bit about Happiest Mind. This might be the right time so that I can
Yeah,
explain.
No problem.
So
Yes.
we are organized in three different business units in Happiest Minds. I belong to the product engineering services. Then we have another business unit called digital business services. And then we have the third business service, which is about security services and infrastructure management kind of services. Now, if you really look at how we do things is product engineering services primary focuses on building platforms and products, and then it is kind of digital business services which takes it and customizes it for a particular customer. And then the infrastructure and security services is kind of ensuring that this particular platform is working fine in the production environment. So we are structured in a manner in one which is creating something, then the other business service is kind of taking it and ensuring that it fits your needs exactly. And then there is someone who is ensuring 24/7 operations for that,
Yeah.
right? So, based on that, when we create or build a particular platform, we bring in all the elements for scenarios of leveraging various digital channels of today. And chatbot is one example which I referred to. But if you are talking of a kind of a commerce situation, or even in a bank situation, you can look at providing omni-channel support. Today, customers want seamless experience, irrespective of whether they have sent a mail or they are interacting with a bot or a physical agent within the environment, customer's environment. Along with that, there are also elements of self-service, or you are interacting with the organization through social media, right? All of us, I mean, as personal consumers, how much of social media we use even to interact whenever we are satisfied or dissatisfied with some kind of services. So all of these are built into the products or platforms that we do, depending on which vertical or which domain for which you are building it. And then these supports are then leveraged by the team that is working in the support mode to provide the necessary services to the end customers. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yeah, yeah, I understood. So yeah, within the thing you have three sub verticals, and they're
Right,
all aligned to provide the needs of the customers, probably
right,
differently, but you manage it end to end.
right.
I understood. Thank you for that. So I mean, when you look at customer service, I think you mentioned you do provide chatbots and digital channels and all. I'm assuming voice will also be part of it. If somebody just wants a
Yes,
service, they
yes,
pick up the call. Yeah. So
yes.
today, I think you also hear a lot about voice bots and
Mm-hmm.
all. So
Right.
probably that must be being included in the solution. But I want to take it forward now. Do you
Mm-hmm.
also measure customer experience? Like do you also provide solutions like what is a CSAT score, or do you take customer feedback uh,
Mm-hmm.
across different channels, or particular just do a random email survey? And basically, do you do it, is it an omni channel survey, and do you really measure customer experience, and how do you do it?
Okay.
Hmm.
See, customer experience depends on two things. One is the customer's behavior and the expectations you have set. And these are the two leading indicators for customer experience. In a typical environment for happiest minds, when we look at measuring CX, we primarily look at the CSAT, the NPS, and the customer lifetime value are the primary three models in which we focus on in measuring those. CSAT is something which we do once a year, uh, survey that we do it, and as part of that, we also get the NPS score. Uh, Besides this once a year survey, we also tune in into multiple different ways to figure out how is the customer behaving throughout this entire journey, because you cannot depend on once a year survey and expect to keep your customer happy, because most of the time when you do the year end survey, it is influenced by the experience what the customer has gone through, maybe in the last quarter, or maybe necessarily on the same day. If you have necessarily gone through a bad experience and you are trying to fill in a form, you know what is going to happen. So we try to keep a measure on the pulse of the customer throughout the year. And some of the stuff that we do is every time we execute a project, we try to measure a score for that as to how satisfied the customer is about that project. what was the expectations set, how we have lived up to those expectations, whether everything went through fine or not. Besides this, there are a couple of other things that also we do. We do take a pulse from the project team that is working on a weekly basis. It is like a weekly sentiment score of the customer. The customer is not necessarily providing that information, but it is about our perception of about the customer on a weekly basis. Based on various multiple different parameters are there. And based on that, we derive a score. And that is monitored at the exact level. The data kind of gets rolled up and monitored at a certain level. And if we see these, and we do it in a red, amber, green kind of scoring mechanism. And at a certain level, if it continues to be red for certain duration of time, it even gets escalated to the level of the chairman so that they necessarily get involved in that. So that is one other way. There are also various other tools, even though we do not use it at this point of time within Happiest Minds. One of the uh, ways it does is you can actually monitor your customer interaction, be it an email, be it through chat, be it through various other tools that you're using. You can actually do a sentiment analysis of the interaction that is happening. That is precisely when you can leverage AI and ML tools to monitor and figure out how these interactions are happening and what kind of discussions is happening, and appropriate interventions can be done, or proactive interventions can be done to manage the customer situations. So this is how typically we do it at Happiest Minds at this point in time.
Yeah, yeah, I got it. So what you're saying is there a particular tool you use, or there are multiple tools you use to get all this feedback, or multiple CRM systems, or do you have a platform which is used to trigger these surveys, take feedback? How does it? What is the technology use?
Yeah, it is done online today. The CSAT and NPS is done online primarily. Uh, we leverage our homegrown tools for that to build this and get those data. The lifetime value calculation is done through various other systems. Now, and I kind of agree with you that it's not one
I
tool which
understood.
does everything, right? It is just not possible because no single tool meets all the necessary stuff that you want to do today. Uh, Major form of communication today with our customers is still email, right? We also use IM kind of tools to interact with customers. Then there are a lot of other tools where engineers also converse between themselves. Now, so there are disparate tools, but what matters or what is important is how do you bring data out of these tools, right? Aggregated data out of these tools and put into a system from where you can draw inferences from. That is what is more important. And based on that, we try to get a score using which we define whether it's a red, amber, green kind of stuff. So it is not definitely not one single tool.
I got it. I got it. There's a whole machinery which goes to extract the
Yes,
data. Yeah,
yes.
and
It's
then
an yeah,
yeah.
it's an ecosystem which has been built. Some of the tools obviously are licensed tools, but quite a bit, or the integration between those tools are what is homegrown kind of stuff.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. Okay, touching on you, I think you touched upon AIML and all. I think sentiment analysis. So another thing which is very popular, whether it is B2B or B2C, is
Mhm.
adoption of automation of
Right,
customer service processes, or introduction of artificial intelligence or machine language to optimize the customer experience. It
right.
helps both in helping reducing the cost. It empowers the customer to use more self-service tools. So what are your thoughts? So what is it that Happiest Mind is doing around automation, AI, ML, all these kind of technologies?
Okay, if I look at automation, typically in the product engineering side, automation has been there in one form or the other from the very beginning, because the genesis of creating a new product is always because of a gap that exists in the current ecosystem, whichever vertical you may be in, what we call a typical white space. And because of that white space, you are trying to build something which will help you do things better. So that is where most of the things happen in a product side. And if we have to do some of this work, then we have to necessarily automate specifically in our testing side or quality assurance or quality verification side. That has to necessarily happen. And then the products have to also be deployed in a much better fashion. That's where the DevOps or MLOps comes into picture. And this has been getting done. But what has happened of late, and specifically uh, got fast-paced, was because of COVID, where we saw many of the customers, while they are trying to do certain thing on their engineering teams, but the internal IT tools, either catering to their own teams or to the end consumers, was not built in a manner that they can do things in a faster, better manner. So that is where during the COVID time, there was a kind of a rush to bring in lot of process automation into play. Uh, and that is where we are seeing that lot of uh, BPM or business process automation is happening. There are a lot of IT or infra operations automation is also happening. And Happiest Minds being an organization which is focusing on the latest technologies or the disruptive technologies, we have been focusing on them for quite some time right now. We, in fact, have a center of excellence which is focusing around automation. And when I'm talking about automation, is the entire gamut of things. It is not one single thing that I can pinpoint to. It is essentially how do we ensure that the life of your customer becomes a lot easier, or the employee which is providing services to the customer, the employee's life becomes a lot easier, so that you can provide services at a faster pace and without committing any errors or mistakes. So that is what we have been focusing on.
Yeah, I got it. So I think what you're saying essentially is a lot of automation and is happening during the product development cycle.
Right,
That is where it is, and some amount of it is happening for the customer service as well.
right.
Okay, I think I just want to touch upon one point you mentioned earlier. I think a lot of your application products are hosted on the cloud.
Mhm.
So I believe most of your solutions must be based on the cloud, or it is, do you provide on-premise solutions, or it is a combination of two? And especially if you see customer service as well, I mean, sometimes service has to be provided by the phone, and if employees are working from home, do you really have cloud solutions which take care of regulatory issues and all that? So basically it's all about adoption of cloud in your product selling, for customer service, everything. If you can elaborate a little bit on that.
Yeah, man. Today, majority of the time, I would rather say 99% of the time, we deal with building products or platforms to the cloud on the cloud. There are definitely a few situations where, for various reasons, where customers may want to deploy the product in-prem or on-prem. But even that is also like kind of a cloud situation or scenario, and they have their own data center where we deploy it. It need not necessarily be a public cloud. You can treat it like a private cloud in which is getting deployed. Uh, the reason we are seeing everyone is moving to cloud today is actually COVID has been a big help in that manner. Uh, all those organizations which were not convinced about being on cloud or had doubts about how cloud will work for them,
Mm.
they have faced serious issues or concerns uh, during the COVID time, and it has definitely impacted their uh, services and customer satisfactions also. Uh, so when we look at this kind of things, there are few factors which is driving it necessarily. One is the kind of data that we are dealing with today. Uh, Everything becoming omni-channel or multiple different channels through which data is coming in. If you want to provide or you want to leverage AI and ML, then what you need is computing power, and that computing power has to happen in on demand. It's not necessary. It's almost impossible for you to have that kind of infrastructure within. your organization so that you can actually scale it on need basis. And an example could be is um typically on an e-commerce kind of scenario, you'll have your peak seasons, right? Maybe a festival seasons. Take for example, Ganesh Chaturthi is coming in and the sales goes through the roof. And then how do you ensure that so many people who are logging into your portal to buy stuff are serviced, right?
Mm.
So these kind of scenarios is happening, and when so many people are logging in, just besides supporting these kind of login, you also want to give them a customized or a personalized service, right? If you want to do that kind of personalized service, that means you have to crunch a lot of data, and that is where the computing power necessarily comes into picture. So that is one thing which I have seen, which has kind of speeded up adoption of the cloud. The other thing that we are also seeing is specifically when we are building stuff or engineering platforms, a lot of this AI, ML, or computer vision related frameworks or algorithms are coming out of the box by the cloud providers. So rather
Mhm.
than me writing it on my own or reinventing the wheel, if I am moving onto a cloud and trying to leverage that platform, it kind of gives me already validated auto scale way of doing things. So that is another reason where we are seeing also this cloud adoption is also happening. Another important trend that is happening, which is driving cloud adoption, is 5G. And because of 5G coming in, edge computing is becoming critical. Today, we are living in a world where we interact with devices very seamlessly. And these devices, some of them we are aware, some of them we are not even aware. And we cannot take everything into the cloud and compute on the cloud and bring it back to the consumer. And that's where edge
Mm.
computing is becoming very, very critical. So what is happening is many of these cloud providers are also tying up with the telcos to necessarily provide this computing at the edge. So instead again of me reinventing the wheel, if I am on a particular cloud provider, I get it again seamlessly out of the box kind of stuff. So there are multiple different things which is driving some of this. These are few examples which comes to top of my head at this point of time, which I just shared with.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's quite relevant and very, very insightful. So I think I think we covered what the questions which I wanted to.
Mhm.
Any other thoughts, Mr. Nanda, you would like to add? Based specifically around this, please. Otherwise, I'll hand it over back to Madhuri.
Yeah, actually, we are living in an interesting world. We always lived in an interesting world, but COVID has made it interesting. I mean, definitely, it's not. What happened during COVID is definitely not a good thing. I at least lot I know a lot of people have impacted, and at least within
Yes.
my network, I know every single person has been touched. So my thoughts are with them at this point of time. But COVID definitely has changed the thought process, has changed our mindset as to how things are going to happen from now on. Right? We almost everyone, including myself, we had a mind or thought barrier as to how work can happen. We are always work from office kind of centric, but today it has converted quite a lot of us that work can happen from anywhere. I mean, today actually right now I'm sitting in Delhi, I'm not even in Bangalore at this point of time,
Oh,
and I'm trying to take this call and I'm working, and it is happening seamlessly. So because of this, what is going to happen is our work, the way we do things, the way we service our customers, the way we do business, the way we interact with people is going to completely change. And all of us have to adapt to this. All organizations, all business have to adapt to this and embrace it. If we do not do that, we are going to face significant amount of challenges. Yes, we will face issues, we'll face multiple other stuffs related to security, compliance, and various other challenges. But those of things can be overcome as long as we embrace this new way of doing things. So my sincere request to everyone will be is to open up their minds to the new possibility that is happening around us and embrace it.
absolutely. I think that is a very good closing note. I wouldn't I would definitely agree with that. We have also gone through it within Avaya. We have seen a lot of things. We have everybody's adapted themselves. I think whether you are at home, you are traveling, you're always at work. In fact,
Right.
a lot of people are saying that we are actually spending more time on work because you don't know when the day starts, day ends. It's like even weekends come and go, you don't realize.
Right.
So because you're always working from home. Thank you very much, Mr. Nanda. Thank you. That was really, really insightful. Thank you so much once again. Over to you, Madhuri. Yeah, I think we
Um,
can. Yeah.
Bhavesh, Mr. Nanda, thank you so much. It was really a pleasure to have you with us today and some really wonderful insights for our viewers. And thank you, Mr. Vora, for driving this entire session. Again, once again, thank you. It was really nice.
Thanks everyone. It was my pleasure to be on this platform and sharing my thoughts. Happy to be here once again, and thanks to everyone.